and welcome back to the table, and welcome to Season 3, kiddos! 'Tis I, your favorite lip-syncing weirdo on the internet, Shelly Von Miller. Oh, gosh. Can we get some hype in the comments down below? I know you're watching on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, so leave a comment, leave some likes, some ratings, and say how excited you are for Season 3. Please, I would love that. We need some ooh-ahs in the chat. Thank you. It's been a full year of the podcast, which is kind of crazy to think of, and 2 seasons, and I'm very excited that we've been here so far. So, I mean, we gotta, strike up some music and have a party. So why don't we have a musician as our first podcast episode? I mean, you gotta invite the bard to a fun time. So on this special episode, we have musician, content creator, and, fashion icon. Let me tell you, you should totally see their outfits of the day. Welcome to the table, Wes, aka Arcane Anthems. Hello!
Hello! Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everybody. My name is Weston. Online, I go by Arcane Anthems. I am a TTRPG musician making music for and about tabletop games, which is, I think, a pretty fun little genre to be working in. I also am a professional game master and host and content creator, and I cover cons and do all sorts of stuff. So it's a varied job, a varied position that I created myself.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have you on because, 1, we've met in person before, and 2, I just like your music.
Thank you.
I like it. So what came first, music or TTRPGs?
Oh, music for sure. I didn't discover TTRPGs until my late 20s, but I've been doing music my entire life. So I was able to start as a little kid, doing talent shows and being that annoying little kid. It actually didn't even start as being me being an annoying little kid. It was more that my entire family is musical. To them, music and performance is like breathing. So I grew up at I have 30 plus cousins, 37 cousins or something. So we would have these huge family get-togethers around the holidays, and each family would put on a performance for all the other families, and we did that for 10 15 years. So being a performer and being on stage and singing and doing those things is kind of built into my family structure. But there was only a couple people in my family who ever did this professionally, and I definitely had to make a lot of mistakes and figure most of it out myself. But the music absolutely came first. I did choir and show choir in high school, choir in middle school, and then after high school, I decided to jump into do music full time. College just didn't quite cut it for me, but it's absolutely 100% music.
College is one of those things, especially I've heard from people in the theater and music departments, that it's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, at the time I had, undiagnosed mental disorders, however many deep now that I'm in, and it made my learning and my time spent in school really challenging, being somebody who felt so interested in class and loved to learn and loved to participate, and then I would look at a page and I couldn't make myself do the things I needed to do, and it felt like I was the least of the smart kids all the time. Every other kid in my class had it figured out, and I just never could. And it was very, very frustrating. It was extremely, extremely frustrating to be in that position. And it wasn't until later on, post learning about tabletop games, you have to hit a wall, and that's what happened. And luckily, I was deeply engaged with tabletop gaming at the time, and that was actually something that it saved my life in a lot of ways. So I have this community to thank for helping me through that process.
That is amazing. I want to say, so would you consider your family like a Von Trapp family?
We made a CD of like Christmas songs that I recorded, and we like made it happen, and so we gave out all these different CDs and all these songs and everything. At some point, I'm sure I'll put them online just so that people can hear what that was. You know, me as a baby producer recording my family and trying to mix it as best I could. But they're really fun and clever, and there were our own versions of the songs. So it was us, you know, arranging them, and I am one of 7 kids.
Oh my gosh.
Von Trapp is the correct terminology.
Yeah, literally Von.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
My family loves the Von Trapps. Like, I grew up playing music because I was in band.
Sure.
A little known Shelly lore fact.
What instrument did you play?
I played trumpet, and cornet. So the smaller, and French horn. So I was a brass player.
Multi-instrumentalist. Fantastic.
Yes. I just got sick of playing the trumpet, so I was just like, let me play the French horn. And I learned it over spring break, and it was great. I loved it. I loved playing the French horn. I would love to take it up again, and then I saw the pricing of instruments nowadays, and I'm like,
French horns too are very complex. Well, and I actually love the French horn. It's one of my favorite instruments to have. And anything epic needs a French horn because it adds so much gusto to everything that it does. It's such a great instrument.
It's like the tuba, an oboe, or a bass, clarinet, and a French horn make just epic music, and I'm just like it does like the belly rumble of like, oh, this is something. And then if you want something very, whimsical, I'd say like the piccolo and clarinet for sure. Yeah, trumpet's there. Trumpet if you want jazz. If you want jazz and you got the trumpet and trombone, they can do other things. I'm just saying. I like.
Well, yeah, you're totally right. I mean, if you listen to the, Inception blasts, those are all, like, the horn sections just, like, losing their minds at full volume, which is gorgeous and wonderful, and I love that for them. But anyway, I could nerd out about that stuff,
Nerds. This is the nerds.
I had to teach myself how to orchestrate things in, like, 2015, 2016, and I'm still learning. I didn't go to school for this. This is all just me making mistakes on top of mistakes, and you learn to not make the same mistakes twice. And I'm somebody who listens back to my own music and compares it to other people's tracks and does all that stuff. So I'm very aware of how far I've come, but also how far I have to go. That is something that I enjoy about this, is that you never stop. There is no end point to being a musician. It's something that you are constantly challenged on. And with music and electronic music specifically, it's something that is constantly shifting and changing and growing as technology grows as well. Anyway, I find it fascinating. It's very fun.
Well, you've written a couple of songs. There's just a couple
hundred. Yeah,
a couple hundred.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Forged in Fiction.
Oh, thank you.
But I love a lot of your songs, both like with the lyrics and just like the lo-fi or like instrumental ones. What pushed you to incorporate your music background into your nerdy TTRPG?
I think that what it comes down to is that I can't help myself. I think that with any professional musician, like the reason that we do it is because that's what we do. Like, music is a deeply ingrained part of us that we have to get out of our bodies, that we have to create from nothing. It's almost a compulsion, and like compulsion affectionately, I guess is the best way to say it. And so when it came to tabletop games, I started, and I was like, I made a couple themes for my players at the table, right? I had, honestly, at the time, I had fallen out of love with music. I had been in a rock band for 10 years, and things just were not working out. And I was discouraged, and music wasn't giving me that life anymore. So tabletop games did. And they very much reinvigorated my love for creativity and storytelling and all those things. And one night, one of my players, one of their player characters like died in game. And that was interesting. And I stayed up till like 2:30 in the morning writing a song about that feeling and about that experience and about kind of processing it in that way. I had never lost a player character before. I started playing D&D as a GM. And so I had to process those things, and I had to go through like kind of the guilt trip of like, oh, did I mess up that encounter, or was this something that sometimes this is what happens in the story, you know? And so fighting those feelings and, you know, honoring that character and all those things. And then I decided to write songs for all the different PCs in my campaign. And then I thought to myself, well, maybe other people, in the same way that they like art they get art for their character, or they like making maps, or they like doing all this stuff, maybe people would like songs for their character, like themes for their character. And I compared it to things like, you know, Star Wars, where you know when Darth Vader comes on screen because that Imperial March plays. Like, there's these moments that happen where you know the hero is back, and or the villain is back. And I thought it'd be a really fun thing to start writing themes for people's characters. So in 2016 I started something called Make My Anthem, and I was on Instagram, and I just would write anthems for people, and I started kind of getting paid to do that. People would pay me to write their anthems, and it was very slow going, trying to advocate for music and advocate for including music in your games, and this idea that your character can have a theme as well as art and these other things and dice and different things. So I don't even know what the question was at this point, but that's a little bit of the backstory there when it came to like how I got started. And that was the question, like kind of why music, why like how did this happen? And this is how that happened.
That's
it
so
was very
cool.
slow.
I've been wanted to have as like a gift for my players for my first campaign a theme, and I'm like, I would love to do that. I got them a poster instead. Like, I got like their characters made into a poster, and so I'm like, eventually I'll get the music. I don't know, maybe, I don't know, one day. But I love including music as just like a way to kind of like warm people up to just like role play, because sometimes you're like, oh yeah, let's just jump into this, and it's like, no, we gotta like get in the mindset. I'm like, it's the same with whenever I get in drag, I'm listening to music all the time. Sure. I'm like, all right, it's like going out to the club. You gotta like put on makeup. You gotta
hype yourself up for it.
Exactly.
Right? Like, well,
exactly.
How many people do you know who make Spotify playlists for their characters? Right? And
yeah,
they
I
use
do.
that. Yeah, exactly.
I have so many.
Yeah, they make playlists for their characters because it gets them in that mind frame. It gets them in that feeling. That's the coolest thing about music, is it's auditory feelings, right? And you were talking about that warm up, right? Where you kind of have to warm out of the world, or cool out of the world and warm into this character, warm into the game. And when I first started playing tabletop games, I think the thing that was most challenging was this idea of vulnerability, this idea of, you know, you haven't been able to express this type of childlike joy and wonder and imagination in a very long time as an adult. You kind of, most adults unlearn that. And so it feels very childish to play a game like this, when really what you're feeling is vulnerability and openness. But people associate that vulnerability and openness with their childhood, so they feel that it's childish, and it's not. It's actually very healing and very brain expanding, and it's all, to me, it's like everything good about being a human. it's the connection and the storytelling and the stepping into somebody else's shoes and the empathy and the adventure. It's such a human activity, and I feel very privileged to be able to add feeling and I guess, into that ecosystem with the way that music presents itself, because it's such a powerful tool for telegraphing to your players what is going on and how they should be feeling in certain moments.
And you mentioned like that need for music, and it wasn't always a thing before, but a lot of people have been adding like sound effects and music to scenes in their games now. With like the rise of VTTs including music, I mean, I can think of a few that have like a whole area where you can upload music, or things like Pocket Bard. Yeah. I mean, I love Pocket Bard.
Amazing. I love Pocket Bard.
I've gotten ready to their music all the time, and like they have like
the intensity slider and
the intensity slider, and also if you go to the tavern, like you can have it instrumental, or they have somebody singing.
I love it.
It's like, oh, I'm just there. Like, I'm like, hell yeah, I love this. How do you feel that there's now this need for inclusion of music, of just like, you know, there is a push for people to include music in their games?
Well, I mean, I'm honestly happy about it. Do I always play with music? No. Like sometimes I'll GM and I won't even have music playing at all. But I think that it's such a good tool to use to immerse your players in the world. I actually think it's so funny when you're feeling it and you're vibing and the music is right and all these things are happening, that then all of a sudden like the wrong song will play and you can immediately feel the immersion break. Because music does such a good job of keeping you in it. And like any video game designer will tell you this, is that like that's what keeps you playing, is that the music designed for video games should be the same philosophy when we're talking about tabletop games, because that music is designed to keep you going. It's designed to keep you interested. It's designed to tell you what you should feel. About what is happening around you. I think Breath of the Wild is a really great example of this, where for that game, mostly it's just piano. And yet, even with just piano, it telegraphs to you exactly how you should be interacting with the game. Like, oh, this is a peaceful moment. This is a moment where you get to explore and look around and enjoy the fauna and find, I don't know, mushrooms or whatever it is you look for. And then there are other moments that are telegraphed, like, hey, wake up. Like, hey, wake up. Something's happening. And it starts off very, very quiet and very small when what are those things called? The things that walk around with the spider legs and they shoot lasers at you. But like,
I don't know. I haven't played that yet.
Oh, I love Breath of the Wild. But once one of those things gets near you, you start to hear that theming, where it's these fast, dissonant chords, and you're like, oh, I gotta lock in. Okay, what's going on? And it's that same way in tabletop games, where you can telegraph to the players. You can have them go into a shop, and you can have the happy shop music going, and then it maybe can transition to something a little more weird and sinister, and they don't know what's going on, but that's gonna activate that fight or flight response in them.
It's so like, what's wrong? Oh no.
Is something off here? And it will just be the music that's telegraphing that stuff. So, and that's why I think apps like Pocket Bard, or there's a really good Discord
Monument.
Well, the one I'm talking about is called Songcraft. It's a Discord bot that's very, very good. And they have an intensity slider and all sorts of music and good stuff. But those apps are so good because in the moment you can kind of control how you want your game to feel and how you want your players to be feeling about certain situations. And that's important. Is it necessary all the time? Absolutely not. I do not think so. Even as a professional musician, I don't think so. The most important thing is that you're around the table with your friends telling a story. I will, 100%. But does it add to your immersion? 1,000%. Because when the music isn't right, it detracts from your immersion. So something's happening there, right? And everyone's kind of experienced that.
I don't know what's going on. Why is there intense music whenever we're having a very happy time? I don't like it.
I thought this was a beach episode.
I thought this was a fun episode. Why is the boss music playing? I think that's always the fun meme that's going around, is like, why is there boss music playing? Like, just
why is
random
all this ammo everywhere. What's going on?
What is going on? It's I attribute it to, like, especially with Baldur's Gate 3. Like,
oh, sure.
Oh my gosh, Raphael's theme. It's the guy is a mini boss and has his own theme. It's ridiculous. I love it, but it's also like, oh my god.
Well,
All right.
I think it's also really cool. Claire Obscure just did this, right?
Oh gosh.
They have like over 100 songs.
The music
Individual
is
songs
so
for
good.
every single fight, which is out of control to me. But when you have these returning themes, all of a sudden your players are like, wait a minute. we know what that person sounds like, and that's a really powerful thing to utilize in your games.
Yeah. So speaking of themes and anthems, you also did a theme song recently for friend of the pod, Whitney, aka Smoking Glue Guns, for their new AP, Fall Atheum.
Fall Atheum.
Yeah. What did the process look like for writing?
Hilarious. So
Hilarious.
This
Love
was funny because I was in a Discord call with my friend Ghostlight G, Grace, and Whitney. And Whitney was like, yeah, like I was going to ask Weston to like write me a song or whatever, but kind of running out of time. And Grace kind of looks at me on Discord and is like, have you seen, like, part of the reason that I charge what I charge for my music is that I have gotten pretty good at nailing down a theme quickly. That is part of like, and sometimes most of the time I can do it pretty darn quickly. Once I get rolling on a song, I'm able to identify what that song should feel like and, communicate that to the client. And Whitney I was like, so Whitney, what kind of vibe are you going for? So she sends me like a video with some like stock music. She's like, something like this. And I was like, sick. Okay, cool. And then I asked her just a couple more questions. Like if you were to, I always ask the question of, if you were to give me 3 adjectives, what this song you want it to feel like, what would those 3 adjectives be? So she came up with the adjectives, threw them to me. And then I just started to work on it. And about, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes later, I was like, check this out. How does this feel? Because what I do is I start very simple. I start in piano, and I'm just trying to capture vibes, because her definition of sad might not be my definition of sad, right? But if I can send her something that I feel is equal parts epic, sad, and mysterious, and then she goes, oh, it definitely feels epic and it definitely feels mysterious, but I guess I didn't want sad. I guess I wanted melancholy, or I guess I wanted hopeless. And so I'm like, oh, okay, great. So then I can calibrate and be like, okay, so this to you sounds sad. Here is what hopeless sounds like. And in that way, once our feelings are calibrated to one another, the process just flies by, because I can then identify the right instruments based on music that they've already sent me. Like, hey, they want it to sound like this. Great. Well, this is equal parts synth pad, violins, and with some light piano motifs. Done. Like we can really knock these things out. And that's true with all the other hundreds of commissions that I've done. I've only had a couple. I think I only had one near the very, very beginning of my career where they didn't really know what they wanted, and their expectation, like they were wanting John Williams, and I was like, do you realize how much money John Williams, like, you would have to spend to get a John Williams song? Like, you don't have it. Like, you don't have it, and I don't have the time to give you that for free. And I think there was just a mismatch of expectation, right? We're like, yeah, okay, you can get John Williams to write you a song, but you're going to be out $500,000. So it's like that's not what we're looking at here. It's a different scale. It's a different scaling. Wow, I've been talking for a while. But
no,
yeah,
it's fine.
So for me, as somebody who does commissions, I'm always looking to connect emotionally with my client. And if we can do that, then I am able to interpret what they want emotionally and give them those feelings in music. That way, they don't have to speak a musical language. Most of my clients do not speak musical language. And that's fine. They don't need to. because they just have to know what they want to feel, and I have become very, very good at identifying feeling in music.
Yeah, I think that the idea of having to speak musically scares people, and they're like, I don't know what I want, and they're thinking like I have to give like every instrument that I would want, and it's like, hey man, what do you feel whenever you listen to this music? There you go.
Yep.
Like, or how do you want to feel whenever you, because it's one of those things. It's been a long time since I have talked musically.
Sure.
Like, oh yeah, it's like, oh yeah, this is, whatever. But it's one of those things I can convey, like, oh, I want this type of feeling whenever I look at this, or, and it's the same with like storytelling as well. Like, what kind of aspects of your music writing do you put into your storytelling?
Well, I think that like you were saying, whenever you are in maybe a session zero, or you're recruiting players, or doing any of those things, you're always going to give references, right? You're going to say like, oh, this is like Wizard of Oz meets Star Trek. Like, actually that sounds kind of fun, but like that, like you give them references so that they understand what you're saying. And so for me, I'm like, hey, give me one or two songs that sound similar to the way that you want your song to sound like, and then give me the feelings, how you want the song to make you feel. And then using those things, I can pull the instruments from the actual music itself, and then I can pull the feelings from that person, and then it ends up making a really beautiful song. And sometimes it's writing the song in the same key, or in the same BPM, or with a similar chord structure that like gives it that feeling. It will never sound like it will never sound exactly like the references that they give me, only because like I'm not trying to make it sound exactly like that, and it is an art form to perfectly emulate somebody else's stuff. Like, that is an art form. Any artist can tell you how like tricky it is to create a perfect copy, because it's art. You interpret it through all of your experience. So even if you're like trying to perfectly copy something, you will not have the same materials. You will not have the same experiences. You will not have the same instruments. You won't have the same plugins. You won't have the same anything. So trying to make it sound exactly like that, it's not going to happen. So stop worrying about it. Stop worrying about it, and just start writing the music that is flowing through you, and using these other things as inspiration. I think the other really cool thing I like about a lot of new tabletop games that are coming out is they like blatantly say like, hey, these are our references.
I do like that.
Oh, it's so neat. Like, read
hey,
these books.
It's like, have you read this type of media? You might like this. But it's also gone in recently online, with a certain book that came out, where they're like, this is, I'll just say it, this is Ghibli-like, and it's like,
oh gosh,
what are you feeling? I'm like, are you wanting this? Because it's like, yeah, the art is stylized that way, but what is the story?
Stealing another culture's aesthetic,
that part.
I mean, that's not. It is hugely problematic in that the aesthetic is drawn from the culture, and if you are just stealing from a aesthetic without understanding the culture, or even being a part of that culture, then you're going to have these massive gaps in the way that almost said music, in the way that your setting is going to feel, because again, you are grabbing the symptoms of a culture, or you're grabbing how the culture expresses and not what the culture is.
Yeah,
and that's really dangerous.
It's like, did you actually look at like the history of why he made this? Like, yep. What is the background of him making art like this? And it's like, no, cool. And thankfully the community has really pushed back and said, no, thank you. We'll we'll take our money elsewhere.
And we've seen this. I think we see this over and over again. I recently found a kind of an anime inspired tabletop game that used all AI art, and
what?
I was like, do you like this? Again, this is the not understanding the culture, right? Like, you're taking what is a human art form that has always been known as an art form, and you are bastardizing it by removing the art from it and removing the humanity from it. It is so disappointing to me to see that kind of behavior in companies, and it to me it just telegraphs like, oh, we are strictly doing this for money, and there is no love in this, clearly, because they made tons of money and they didn't pay artists for it, so clearly they don't love the medium. They love the grain, which is unfortunate.
Don't like that. Ugh.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it happens everywhere. It happens in any art form.
True.
And it's not exclusive to tabletop games. But one thing that I've learned as I've gone through my career, and I've had to learn this over and over and over again, is it's not just about understanding the instruments or the BPM or the key or you have to, when you are jumping into another culture's music, and music is so cultural. I don't think that any genre that I write in, I could say that like, oh, my people, created this music. Like, no, it was stolen from everyone else. So no matter what I'm writing, I have to have a deep appreciation and understanding for where these things came from. Not just like the technicality of what this song should sound like. So yeah, I think one of my favorite moments of this was I had a friend of mine request an Afrofuturist song. And so I spent 3 months listening to Afrofuturist and Afrofuturism styles of music, watching media, like being in that place, watching live performances and looking at art pieces, and it wasn't just a song that I was writing. It was me attempting to deeply appreciate and understand something that one of my friends was wanting to connect more with his love of tabletop games and his own culture, so that he could hear himself in his games. And he couldn't do that for himself. But it was a really unique opportunity. And that's I forget what the song is called. I've written so many songs. Earthwalk is what that one is, and that one's a really truly special song to me, and I really really hope and pray that like when people listen to it that I was respectful in the way that I wrote that song. Anyway, it's a very special song for me. And it gave me a massive appreciation for Afrofuturism and just the beautiful art form and deep cultural impacts that had and has still. In fact, all the Wakandan design is all based on Afrofuturism.
I love that soundtrack, and I love the design that they did for that. It's just, oh God. Yeah.
So
a soundtrack. I love soundtracks because sometimes it's not the way that they boiled it all down. It's how every piece of music flows within a soundtrack, and it's like, it makes me happy because I have to listen to a soundtrack from like the first one to the last. I can't do like a mix up because I'll be like, oh no, I don't like that. That doesn't mix well. It mixes well, but it doesn't like flow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, movie soundtracks are our classical music. Like they are our Mozart and our Beethoven. Like that's what these cinema soundtracks are. That's where a lot of our brilliant composing minds live, is inside of these movie soundtracks. So it makes perfect sense why you would like love to listen to those, because those are the like beautiful works of art, and that's honestly where like a lot of the money goes for like really complex music, and really beautiful big, you know, soaring scores, even in movies that are more like blockbustery. The soundtracks still rip, like they really do, because they're, you know, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to create these albums.
I mean, and that's why, you know, like the Mission Impossible theme, it's, you know, like months and months of like preparing these songs to be, and I've seen the behind the scenes of scoring movies. That I'm like, I am so glad I did not become a professional musician, because I'm like, that would be me, and I would be going bonkers.
Well,
it's like, oh,
the interplay between the composers and the conductors and then the musicians, and then they are literally playing to a movie that is happening on screen, like they can see it, and so they're having to play at the same time as these like roughly cut movies. And I have nothing but I do not score anything. That has never been something that I've been like, that I've ever aspired to do. And it's not my cup of tea. I much prefer to write kind of themes and do more like music video style videos, where I'm making a video to a song and not a song to a, you know, cinematic, you know, movie or whatever it might be.
No session musician in your future? No,
that's
no?
not. You know, the thing is, like, a lot of people assume that because I'm a composer that I must like play a ton of instruments, or I must be a certain way, and that's just not. I must be a master at you know, music theory, and that's not the case. That is absolutely 100% not the case. I play a couple instruments. I play guitar. I play bass guitar. I play a little mandolin. I can, you know, dink around on a piano a little bit. But really, all my composing comes from my singing background and my ability to create harmonies. So you will hear a lot of like melodies and counter melodies in my music, because that's what singing does. You're always able to add in another melody or another harmony somewhere or whatever it might be. So that's kind of what makes my compositions a little unique, in that I sing everything that I write. Like every note that you hear, I sang it and then put it in its place as I was going along. So it's kind of to me, my music is very personal, because it physically went through me, and it, like, I played it. I played every note. So
would you consider yourself a bard?
I mean, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But like
in the sense of like, that's what most people would consider a bard, but like, would you consider yourself a bard, or like a sorcerer, or warlock, or
the
like
thing is that I feel like if music is magic, then I feel more like a sorcerer than I do a wizard, right? Like wizards, I feel like, are the people who can sit down and like write down sheet music and like understand the way that, you know, chord progressions play on each other, and like how musical scales are important, and, you know, jump between key changes and cluster chords, and, you know, like people who like understand the runes. they create the arcane sigils. Like those are the wizards to me. I feel like I am a sorcerer who lets it flow through me in a less cerebral way. To me, music is all about like tinkering with it until it feels right. I usually can't predict what's going to happen, which is a really scary way to do any kind of art form, where you start with a blank page and you just start throwing things on it, and then you eliminate things, then you throw more on it, and then you eliminate things, and you look at it, and see if it feels right. And if it doesn't feel right, it could be a arrangement problem or a melodic problem or a harmonic problem or a mixing issue, or there's so many things that it could be. And trying to understand all those different levels of it, like it's scary. It can be very scary when you're kind of in the midst of it, and it's not sounding how you hope it is going to sound, and you're trying to figure out why. You're trying to troubleshoot all the time, because it's all vibes. It's all just like
it's all vibes, man.
All vibes based. And I think this is one of the reasons that like AI kind of like ticks me off so much. Like specifically generative AI, analytical AI. I'm honestly all for. Like that's great. Like let's cure cancer and let's make our spreadsheets better. Like that's fine. Like great. Yes, those are not.
Please make my spreadsheets way easier to deal with.
100%. But like machines don't go through that process, right? Like they're going to follow exactly what like is expected of them. They aren't gonna make the same they won't have the same mistakes that people would make that lead to really interesting things happening. They can't do that because it is pattern recognition, and they're not even recognizing what they're doing. They're just trying to guess what's next, right? Like they're trying to they're just saying like, oh, somebody else has done this previously and therefore I will do this time, as opposed to like looking at what they're creating and making sure it feels right. They aren't there isn't creation there. There isn't understanding there. There isn't empathy there. Those things don't exist, because it's all just a pattern. And like I was saying before, like one of the beautiful things, and actually my friend Matt Nerdy said this in one of the things that I one of his social posts maybe. He was like, what makes being an independent artist so cool is that you don't have to worry about all the big things that big musicians have to worry about. Like, it doesn't have to sound a certain way. You get to play and be different and use weird instruments and use weird words. And that's like the joy and the beauty of being an independent musician, is that you can have it be imperfect. Like, that's a part of its charm. That's a part of the joy of creating and listening to independent musicians, is they aren't beholden to the golden sound of a professional track. And in that very same way, like when you as a musician want to throw in something weird or create something weird, it might not be for everybody, but that's fine, because it doesn't have to be. You're not making music for everyone. You're making music for your people. Anyway, I went on a bit of a tangent there, but
all good. Well, I guess we can go on a bigger tangent. So you mentioned earlier that you didn't start TTRPGs as a player. You started as a GM.
Yeah.
Explain.
So I didn't really have a choice, is really what it came down to. When I quit doing music with like my bands that I was in, my friend, one of my band members, invited me over to play board games. He was getting really into board games and around that 2014, 2015 period, and board gaming was going through a renaissance then, and it still is now. It's a beautiful time to enjoy tabletop games, and they just keep getting better and better and cooler and more interesting and more diverse and more, anyway, they're rad. So we'd play board games together, and eventually I kind of got on the Critical Role train and started seeing them playing, and I was like, I would love to play this. So like I spent a long time watching those shows, and I became obsessed. I would go on walks just to I would like turn their episodes into podcasts so that I could listen to them as I was walking around the neighborhood, and just became completely enamored with this idea. And so when I like brought this idea to my board gaming group, and I was like, hey, we should play D&D at some point, and they were like, whoa, that's way too nerdy. There's like, whoa, we only play board games for like 8 hours
Hold
a day.
on.
We aren't
only
nerds.
play 8D chess. How dare you?
I feel like it's a lot the same way that like D&D players treat LARP, where they're like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa,
Whoa,
like,
whoa.
come on.
We pretend in the comfort of our own home.
You want me to go nerd camping?
You want us to go to the public park? How dare you?
So I do very much feel like it's that relationship, but I tricked them thoroughly by playing a game called Mice and Mystics, which is an RPG in a box, and this was back when there was a game called a show called Tabletop by Will Wheaton, and it's an incredible show. What a great show! Where they
love that show. I knew about Geek and Sundry through that, and didn't know about Critical Role until 2020.
Oh, gotcha.
So I was watching Will Wheaton's because it's Will Wheaton.
It's Will Wheaton.
Everybody knows Will Wheaton. And so I was just like, oh yeah, I know. And like Felicia Day. So I knew about Geek and Sundry about that. And then it wasn't until 2020 and I was like, wait, this is on Geek and Sundry?
Yeah.
Who knew? Who knew?
It was just really really cool to, because I ran this RPG in a box where you're a bunch of mice who have like, there's like a wizard mouse and a cleric mouse and a fighter mouse and a druid mouse, and you're fighting all these rats and these kind of supernatural spiders and all sorts of stuff. And they started to understand, because I ran it like D&D. I ran it as the game master, and they were rolling dice to like try and hit stuff. And at some point they're like, okay, Weston, we get it. Like, let's play Dungeons and Dragons. And so we got together one night and we created characters for like 3 hours. And I didn't know all the answers. And this was before D&D Beyond. So we were trying to work it out with pen and paper and the books. And, we didn't do everything correctly. But that game we played for 7 years. We played that game for 7 years. And we had this like a really incredible climactic conclusion in 2021. And it was like, it put this capstone on the game, and we did it. Like, we went through a huge multi-layered, different storylines, complex, like that game that everybody wants to play. We were able to do that, and it was really, and we like lost some players along the way, and we gained some players along the way, and I'm still gaming with all those people to this day. So so I started as a GM because I was the storyteller, and I had to convince them to play this game with me.
Play this game!
And it was amazing. And now we have all these other incredible tabletop games that we get to play.
Yeah.
It's pretty
I've
great.
been fortunate enough to be at a table that you GM'd. We got to play Rebel Scum.
Yeah.
And I got to play Legally Distinct, Landau Calrissian. And I'm just saying, I'm excited, and I'm still waiting for the theme song.
Oh, sure.
I'm still waiting. waiting.
That was a very fun game. Rebel Scum is a fun system, the alchemy system. That game was a silly, like, ridiculous blast.
So silly. I almost died, like, a couple times.
Oh, yeah. I definitely wasn't going easy on y'all. I wanted it to feel tense.
By the way, spoiler alert, Darth Jar Jar and Darth Amidala.
Darth Padme. Yeah. Darth Amidala
came out. It was great. I was just like, hell yes. What kind of stories? I mean, like, outside of silly things like that and like epic things with all these different storylines, what kind of stories do you like to tell at your table?
I'm a huge fan of, well, one thing that I really like is simple pantheons. I like really, again, simple pantheons. I have one world that I just ran a game in that has 3 gods, and my excuse is that all the other ones left. And so that's a part of the mystery. Is like, why would they leave? And these 3 are left. So like, who are these gods who remained? And then like, I love settings that are magic light, technology heavy, and I like to challenge my players to not just like wand wave with magic all the time, but to really like dive into, encourage them to do things in a more like natural, creative way. And like, I'm not saying that you can't be creative with magic, but magic can be very hand wavy. Where it's just like, especially in D&D, where
like, this happens.
Yeah, I guess this is happening then. I just had these players. You know, I created these like really scary big mechanical creatures with 4 arms and like blades on every arm, and every sword was like, you know, 5-6 feet long, terrifying creatures, and they just
so Claire Obscure. Cool.
Or this game is based on the Dishonored series of video games. So they just they cast Enlarge like 3 times on a chandelier and just crushed it. So like, you know, like magic is so like, all right, well, I guess that happened. Fantastic. I was hoping y'all would be jumping from chandelier to chandelier, but nah, this is much easier. We're just gonna crush it with a, you know, 14-ton chandelier, and then it will just go back to normal once the spell ends. So the scientists will be very confused when they get back and see this little chandelier crush this, you know, giant creature. Anyway, but those are the types of story. I'm a huge fan of kind of morally gray rapscallion, you know, not grimdark, but like, ooh, this world's a little dirty. Like this world's a little dirty. And
it's like, oh, I have to get my fingers dirty. I don't know about this. Oh.
Well, and one thing I developed for that game in particular was this idea of debt, which I think that Daggerheart did later, you know, years later, much better with fear, with hope and fear. But I instead of worrying about like money so much, it was always about like, who do you owe? Okay, yeah, who do you owe to get this cool item? And then I can use all of that debt to like create story and to make like bad things happen to these players and mess them up in times where they, you know, it would be smooth sailing. And Daggerheart does that in a very, very good way with fear. That's why I love the hope and fear system, is being able to. It just feels earned, right? Like if you have fear to spend, then you have fear to spend, and you got to spend it. So like it feels earned whenever you do those like dastardly things, and the wind knocks them off course, or you know, an encounter happens at an inopportune time. Being able to use those resources, because nothing really like that exists in Dungeons and Dragons, where it's just like, I guess the DM said it happened, so it happens. Great. But yeah, so I was using this idea of debt and a much simpler money system, because, you know, we can't even get our, you know, real life system of economics to make sense, let alone trying to make it make sense inside of a fantasy world. Anyway.
That's the one thing I'm fearing whenever I do go into like building a world. It's like, I don't want to build an economy. Can we not? Do I have to? Do I have to give money?
Yeah, I like my players to not think about the money stuff so much, just because in the same way that sometimes players who see a battle map in front of them can get so enwrapped into the battle map that they forget to roleplay. They're just like, okay, what's happening here? Like when you turn it into too much of like a video game, then they start to lose the plot a little bit. And the point is to tell a cool, entertaining story. So I just like to limit the understanding of like, you know, small amounts of money. Don't worry about them. Like they're all pennies. Like don't worry about the pennies, please. Like really worry about like what the money means, I guess is the best way to say that, as opposed to the individual like currency and like how much do you need to spend. Yeah, I agree. Economies are brutal.
I don't want to think about an economy. I'm just saying. I get
it. I get it.
Sorry. I'm not including that in a book I ever write. I'm sorry. I don't want to think about it. So, okay, you've GM'd in private, you've GM'd in the AP space.
Yeah.
What was the bridge to make that happen? Like, because obviously, doing it for your own friends, and then AP came later.
Yeah. I recently responded to a Threads post where somebody was asking for like advice on becoming a GM, and I was like, GMing is mostly audacity. Like that's
Do you have the audacity to read a whole book?
yes. The audacity to think that you can tell a good story. The audacity to sit at a table and say like and to run that table and to include players and to think that they will enjoy what you have to say and it's mostly audacity, and if you have that audacity, then you learn as you do it. And that's true with a lot of things, but with GMing, it's less about like how many rules you know and how many stories you've read, and it's really just doing your best to trust your gut, and then you mess up and you say, okay, that didn't work. We're gonna recalibrate and we're gonna do something a little bit different, and that's great. Like it's such a unique position to be in that most people in their lives don't sit in, where you're at the head of a storytelling table where everyone's input is equally important. And you learn how to properly set expectations so that everyone's on the same page, so that people's, ideas of their characters aren't, messing with your story, or messing with other characters' stories. And you start to understand the types of players you like to play with, and so you're much more easily able to communicate those things. It's audacity to think that you can do any of these things the first try. You can't. You will not be able to. It requires time, and so for me, going from a home game, and I was very lucky to have a home game run for so long before I started doing actual plays. And then, come 2020, come the pandemic, like everybody's at home, and all of a sudden I'm meeting all these other creators, which I really hadn't been. And there was this brand new platform on TikTok that we were all, learning and trying to understand. And we were all like passionate about storytelling. So we started inviting each other to play in each other's games, and we started doing charity streams, and we started doing streams for, different causes and for people's individual Twitch channels. And I would get invitations, and you get on there. And then I ran my own show for a while where I would grab other creators who weren't even in the D&D space and teach them how to play Dungeons and Dragons. And so because we love to tell stories, again, in the same way that music is a compulsion, storytelling becomes a compulsion. That element of creation and the connections you feel with the other players, like that, you need it. It becomes like dopamine. It becomes your serotonin. It becomes a part of yourself that keeps you like happy and alive and afloat. And the world can be very, very dark, and these games help us to navigate that. Again, D&D is not therapy, but D&D can be catharsis, and it can get you through difficult times. Because it's very real. Like storytelling is an evolutionary trait that has survived and has enabled humanity to survive for, thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. And it's because we can tell stories. That's how we pass on our knowledge. That's how we pass on our wisdom, is through storytelling. So it's to me, it's not just something that we just like came up with. It's something that is innate to who we are and like how we developed as a species. So it's not childish. It is vital to who we are.
What kind of stories are you hoping to tell in the future? Like, are you looking at certain systems that you want to play at, like certain tables you want to play at or be the GM at? I've been
playing around and this is a little sideways of that question, but to me it's the same. I've over the past couple of years, you mentioned Forge and Fiction. I've been writing contemporary music about tabletop games and about how it connects us, and synthwave songs about eldritch beings that live underwater, and like really having fun with it. And I think the thing that I am most excited about now is to be releasing some visuals with that, some animations with that, some animatics with that, and I want to dip my toes in that world where like I'm hiring artists to make things, I'm making things myself, and we're combining our talents into this more visual medium. And you've seen like a lot of different actual plays doing this. Like I think of all the Evantress shorts and how like hilarious those are, and Theater of the Unaligned is doing those things now as well. And this move into animation as a way to tell a story, as another layer of storytelling. And so I'm trying that too with my music, and that's honestly how I'm attempting my storytelling next. And I have a song, it will be out by the time this airs, that's called "Don't Count Me Out," and it's a fun, like Celtic inspired song about never giving up, never surrender kind of idea. And I hope people enjoy it, and I hope people like the little animatic that I put together for it. And it's a new venture as an entrepreneur in this space. You're constantly looking for the next thing. You're constantly failing at the things you thought would work. Like, oh, I put so much time and energy into this video. Why did nobody watch it? Like, why didn't the algorithm like it? And you're constantly changing and experimenting and finding something new, because that's what you have to do, because that's your income, that's your livelihood. And to me, it just inspires my creativity, inspires me to become better at things. It widens my talent. I mean, I have never seen myself as a visual artist, and so I have to figure out ways to use the skills that I do have and like slowly develop my artist skills at the same time. And like, okay, how can I cheat this here? Like, how can I make this look like this without it actually being this? It requires a lot of ingenuity, and it's exciting. It's exciting to do something new and fresh, and to not quite be sure how people are going to accept it. When it's not your face on the camera anymore, and it's this like little digital avatar of you, and we'll see. We'll see how people like it. And then if it doesn't work, then that's fine. The other 20 things I've tried haven't worked either, but it doesn't. But I'm walking away with more experience, and I'm walking away having supported artists, and I'm walking away having made the community a little bit more creative. So I think those are the stories that that's my next. Those are my next steps as I'm walking through.
Heck yeah! I was gonna ask, is there like there is the song that's out now. You should go listen to it. Get it. Where can people find it though?
Literally everywhere.
Literally everywhere.
Wherever you type, if you type in Arcane Anthems and Don't Count Me Out, it'll pop right up.
Perfect.
You see my little cartoon version face of Arcane on there.
Yeah.
And give it a listen. The actual animatic will be on YouTube. The full animatic will be on YouTube. And then I'll be putting up shorts. Shorts will be everywhere else. So hopefully you've seen it by now, but if you haven't, please go check it out. It's something special.
Are you planning on doing like a visual album where it's like, or like EP?
Yeah, well, I am going to be doing some animatics for a little while. I'm going to try and do it for like months, and see how people respond to it. Right? If they like it, if they respond well to it, then I'll keep doing it. And if it's lukewarm or not super receptive, it's a lot of work. So I'm gonna accept that, like, okay, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna try something else. And that's what being an independent musician is it's trying the next thing. It's seeing what is working, and if it works, you keep doing it, and you keep getting better at it, and you keep making it better and better. And if it doesn't, then you move forward and you kill your darlings, and that's what it is. You still love it, but you're moving on to the next thing. So I don't know what the next thing after this will be, but again, I've tried 20 other things other than this one thing, and so this is just another attempt, and I hope that people like it, because man, it's an expensive endeavor to try something brand new.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if you think about it, people have been looking at that for a while. I mean, look at the Gorillaz. They've had a storied career of being animatic with their music and creating, these animated video, music videos. So
100%.
It's not in the realm of impossibility that people would like it, because, I mean, if you like music that you've already written, I mean, I don't see why not.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that I'm taking a lot of inspiration from an artist on YouTube called Cammy Cat, who has done so many beautiful animatics with their own music, and I I'm not trying to hide that. This is something that we're always being inspired by one another. Like that's one of the coolest things about the community. I'm not trying to take that away from them, but they've found a lot of good success with it. So I'm like, okay, well, if people like this, then fantastic. Let's see if they like it with my music and with the type of songs that I'm writing. And I'm hoping that the music I write is connecting with people. One of the most discouraging things are those voices in your head that says like, oh, because it doesn't have a lot of views, therefore it's not a good song, or because it doesn't have a lot of views, why are we even bothering to write these songs? And to me, it's never been about whether I believe that the songs I write are good and are entertaining and are catchy and are fun. And for me, it's always been about how do I trick people into understanding that this is something worth their time. And that's kind of what social media is, right? We have to use these weird little tricks and these weird little things.
Hey, to
grab that attention.
You did write a song called Don't Trust the Fae, and that's some Fae behavior right there.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
It really, really is.
It's like, hi, come here. Instead of asking for your name, you're asking for attention. You're like, oh, hello, jingle, jingle, hello, jingle. It's it's that meme right there. It's like, hello, pay attention.
Well, and that's what the Fae are. That's. I mean, I am remiss to say that I am a part of our modern Fae social media creators market. Yep.
Same.
I mean, the reason that you look so good in all of your makeup and all your looks and everything is that people look
it's
at
magic.
you. Yeah, I mean,
it's magic.
People look at you.
You gotta look at me from 5 feet back, though. Let's get it right. There's a reason why I lip sync, and it's not because I can sing. I can't. I'm faking it. All right.
I fake it too sometimes.
It happens. I mean, hold on. I distinctly remember a certain concert that you held at Gen Con last year in 2025. And you had said that's your first concert in a while that you played.
I've never done a show as Arcane Anthems.
Yeah.
I'd been playing on stage as a musician for years, but I hadn't done it in 10 years. I think my last show was in 2015. So playing at Gen Con last year was really special, and it took me a full year to get all those songs tabbed out so I could see all the chords and get them all arranged so that I could play them on a stage. And it wasn't perfect, and that's fine. I've watched that show back. I know the notes I missed. I know the chords I missed. I know the positioning of me up on a stool didn't feel great, and it didn't look amazing. There's so many things that I can make better. But
it didn't help that it was in a basement that barely anybody could find.
There was no sound guy. It was just me.
You're like, I'm making this happen, right? Y'all can hear me, right?
This is punk rock. We're just hitting play
Exactly.
and doing it. And I just my hope is that even though I never became the rock star that I had always like wanted to become, that the version of myself that I did become is somebody who people still connect with, and somebody who other people still see value in. That the hard work that I've done in the last 20 years of writing music is still getting through, is still impacting people for the better, and is still celebrating the things that I love and the things that I believe, and let that be enough. Let that be enough for my creativity, even if I don't leave a legacy like the Beatles or like Rolling Stones or like whatever it might be. Like, the creativity that I had while I was on this planet helped a small group of my friends, and people found value in it, and it helped them feel understood and feel seen, and help them to enjoy a good story and to imagine the world in a different way. And I've definitely shifted my focus to that, to just being true to the kind of musician that I am. And I started making music to connect with people, and now I feel like that has always been my mission, is to write music that people connect with. And even if it's in our little tabletop gaming community, like, let that be enough.
Amazing. Well, this is the part of the podcast where I say, plug your shit. Tell the people where they can find you.
Well, again, I'm Arcane Anthems all over the internet. You can find me at every single social platform at Arcane Anthems. You can find all of my free TTRPG background music, instrumental music, on all the different streaming platforms, and also on my Patreon. I would love it if you would support the this new endeavor that I have. The best place to do it is on Patreon, so that I can, again, continue to pay my artists, so I can continue to improve the setups that I have, and pay my bills, and keep my house, and feed my children, and all that good stuff. So head over to my Patreon, patreon.com/arcaneanthems. And if you can't do that, then, leave me a like and leave me a sub. And just come with me on this journey.
Amazing. Well, you can find all those links for Wes down below in the show notes. Speaking of finding people on the internet, you can find me everywhere on the internet at Shelly Von Miller, to include Patreon, where you can support this podcast and everything I do by becoming a lovely little patron over there, whether it's for free, which, hey, free patrons get amazing things, to include a monthly newsletter and early access to the podcast, just saying hello, to paid tiers where they start at $7 a month. And we're going to go actually film one of those exclusive Patreon segments called Table Sets. You should go totally check that out. Anyways, I love you guys very much, and I will see you on the internet. Goodbye!